Okay, thank you for coming to today's Financing Your Geo Program workshop. Um, just to start with a brief agenda, we'll be going over some of the different program types that we offer and how those different programs are charged. And then we'll be going over financial aid, how some of the financial aid you normally receive may be able to apply to the different types of programs we offer, as well as scholarships and grants offered both through our office, as well as other external scholarships and grants for your global education program, some information about community-based funding, and then where to go from here. We'll also be giving a brief website tour just to show you some of the places where you can find the information that I'll be talking about during this session. And I'll give time for people to ask questions in between each of these sections as well. Just a brief introduction of myself. My name is Josh. I'm a management intern here at the Global Education Office, and I did a year-long exchange program in Japan during my sophomore year. Just to go ahead and get started with the different types of programs that we offer. We offer two shorter term program types, which take place either during the breaks or during the summer term. And then we offer two types of longer term programs, which are typically either for the length of a semester or for even the whole year. So getting started with the shorter ones, we offer faculty-directed programs, which are from a few weeks to a couple of months during the summer term. And during these programs, you will be going and traveling with ASU faculty and other ASU students who will be teaching you an ASU course during the program. Of course, for this program, just like all of our programs, you will be earning ASU credit. For the faculty-directed programs, the program fee that you pay, includes your tuition for the courses that you would be taking as part of the program, as well as housing and other different costs during the program, such as some trips that you might be taking within the program. Moving on to Global Intensive Experience or GIE programs. These are our shortest form of program. They're typically from about a week to 2 weeks in length during either like winter break, spring break, or right at the beginning or end of the semesters. These programs are typically connected to a semester course. So you would be taking part of the course during the semester here at ASU or online. And then the second part of that course would be the trip that you would be taking for this program. For these programs as well, you'd be traveling with ASU faculty and other students. And again, ASU credit is earned for these. For these programs, they do not include your tuition for the course because that course is charged as a part of your regular semester tuition. So it would just be a part of that semester's course load. But what is included in the program fee is housing and other similar costs during the span of the program. For these, you would be able to use your financial aid and scholarships that would apply to your courses for that semester. And I'll go into more details about that a bit later as well. Next up is the partnership programs, which are one of the longer term programs that we offer. These are offered during the summer, semester, or year, and you would be taking courses with students from all over the world. And with our partnership organizations, we work with a provider to offer these programs, so you have on-site staff support from that partnership organization. For the partnership programs, they do include tuition, housing, and other costs as a part of the program during the length of it. And your semester aid might be able to, usually be able to apply to it. The other longer form program that we offer are exchange programs. These are our most independent form of program, where it is essentially like you're a student at a university in another country for the length of the program. So these are also offered for the summer, semester, or year. You would be taking courses at a university or institution wherever you choose to go. And the courses would be taught by faculty at that institution. And like I mentioned, it's our most independent and immersive experience. Depending on where you go, it might require some foreign language proficiency. But if you are looking to increase your foreign language proficiency, this would definitely be one of the best types of programs for you. For exchange programs, that makes them different is that you're paying your normal ASU fees and tuition for the length of the program, plus just a bit more of fees through our office. But the majority of the cost is just your normal ASU tuition. And then the rest would just be additional cost of living that wouldn't be charged to you directly. It would just be for you to pay as you're living there pretty much. Okay. And then for all of these programs, just to briefly go over application costs, once you submit your application, like you complete everything and decide to submit because you're interested, you would be charged a $50 application fee. No matter the program, you would still need to pay your mandatory registration fees and other special program fees that typically your college will charge you depending on which degree or which school you belong to. And the way that we charge these program fees to you is it's split into two payments of half and half of the program fee each, and those would be 1 month apart. So you'd pay for example, the first half in January and the second half in February. Not actually January and February for all programs, but just using that as an example. Any questions about the different types of programs that we offer?
I do have a question.
Sure thing.
For the program payment, you said that they split up into two different payments. Is that just for the one that's billed to your ASU account?
Yes. So the billable subtotal is what would be billed directly to your ASU account, split into two payments. Any of the estimated additional costs, those will never be charged to you directly to your ASU account.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Anyone else?
Do you know about like specific trips, information about specific trips?
What do you mean, like specific programs?
Yeah, I'm interested in the French one, or not the French, the Paris trip this summer. But it says that the program cost is about 12,000. So would that be like 6,000 1 month and then 6,000 the next month, or is that? I don't really.
If you're talking about the billable subtotal, then yes. Typically, if you're taking a look at that program costs section on the program page, it'll have like a little breakdown of the costs in like a chart. And the first bold number you should see would be amount that will be charged to you directly, split into two. So if that bold number is 12,000, then yes, it would be 6 and 6.
Okay, and sorry if I'm making you repeat yourself, but so that would be paid like upfront, basically. The first month and the second month. That wouldn't be like onto your tuition.
I'm not sure I entirely understand the question. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So
you're good.
So it would be like you pay up front, or we'll do the January, February thing. So you'd pay up front January and then pay up front again the next month.
Yes, you would be paying for those typically before the program starts.
Okay. Just checking. Thank you.
Yeah. Does that about answer it?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And then I have a question in the chat. Are tuition fees covered by the Uber corporate benefit? I'm not super familiar with the Uber corporate scholarships and how they cover it. We do have a page on our website that I will remember to show you later because I believe that you would need to get in contact with them about that. But typically what we recommend for both the Uber and the Starbucks and other corporate scholarships like that is because of the kind of requirements and restrictions for those, typically your best bet for being able to participate in a global education program and keep your benefits would be to do one of the global intensive experiences, because those are the shortest length and typically most manageable for corporate scholarship recipients.
I do have another question.
Sure thing.
When are your financial aid applied to when you pay for the when they charge you for 1 month and then the other month? Is that they include that in that time, right?
Typically, you receive your financial aid at the very beginning of the semester. So yeah, that's about all the information that I have about when they apply that, just because that's handled more directly by financial aid. But kind of the way that the financial aid typically works is that, for example, say for the first month, if you're being charged in February, you're already receiving if you're being charged in January, you're already receiving your financial aid for the spring term. So whatever you're receiving in January will apply to half of that charge that's being charged in January. And then typically the way that it works is if the financial aid that you're receiving is more than the amount that you're being charged, you'll receive whatever's left as a refund. And then you can choose to use that for the second half of the charge that would be charged in February. Does that make sense?
Yes, or would just subtract, essentially.
Yes,
the program fee.
Essentially.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sure thing.
My program is going to the Camino de Santiago during the summer term.
Okay.
And so is financial aid dispersed for a summer term, or I can't remember how I did it last summer. Do I need to apply again, or how does that work?
So is this regarding federal aid?
Yeah, or even just, I'll probably have to get loans, but I also I came in late, so you might have already covered it, but are there any special scholarship sites that we can access for study abroad programs? Or
Yeah, I'll actually be going over that in just a bit. Okay. And I'll be going over the financial aid stuff as well, kind of in this section. Okay. So if I haven't answered it after this section in the next one, feel free to ask it again and I'll do my best to answer.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Joshua.
No problem. All right. Anyone else? Let me just check the time. I think I'm going to go ahead and move on. And if there's any more questions as I'm moving on after the next section, feel free to ask, but I want to make sure I can get through everything. Okay. So with financial aid, you'll always want to make sure to submit your FAFSA, because you'll probably receive more than you might expect. And for a lot of the scholarships, you do need to have a FAFSA on file. So even if you don't expect to receive anything from it, please be sure to submit it, because it'll make you eligible for other things. Also, be sure to view the cost sheet for the programs that you're looking into and looking to apply for, especially, and be sure to plan. And I'll be going more in depth into these as I'm going forward. So we do have information about financial aid and submitting your FAFSA on any of the program pages. If you head over to the Financing Your Program section and click on Financial Aid. You can also find more information about federal aid and other financial aid and scholarships by visiting or calling the Financial Aid and Scholarships Services and speaking to a financial aid counselor. They'd be able to look more into your specific cases and provide you some more information. As for accessing the cost sheet, on all programs, there is a program costs tab. One second. Someone in the chat is asking, do we need to submit a new FAFSA if we have already filled that out for the spring? I'm not familiar with the requirements for the FAFSA itself. That would probably be a question to ask Financial Aid and Scholarship Services. I believe that the way that that applies is if you're filling out the FAFSA right now, that is going to apply for the 2022-2023 academic year. But definitely check in with them to confirm that. Okay, with the cost sheet, on every program page, no matter what you're looking at, there's going to be a program costs tab, which will have a breakdown of the costs for the program. So the one on the top is for our partnership and exchange programs. And because those are offered for multiple terms, you'd click on the term that you are interested in applying for to view the cost breakdown for that program, or for that term of the program, excuse me. And then on the bottom right is for our faculty-directed and global intensive experience programs. It will have the program costs directly on there in the program page. This one that we have a screenshot of here is not fully updated, but it will have typically a number that is the cost for the program fee listed there. And then where it says billable subtotal, that's what I was talking about before, where that is the amount that would be charged to you for the cost of the program. And that, again, would be split into two charges, 1 month apart. Here we have some cost sheets for, on the left is an exchange program, and on the right is a partnership program, just to kind of visualize what I was talking about before. With the exchange program, as you can see on the left, the majority of the cost is going to be your semester tuition. So you can see the tuition is not on there at all. That is going to be something separate. It's just going to be your normal semester tuition that is charged for you for that term. And then in addition to your tuition, you will be billed where it says billable item subtotal, that $842, for example, for this program. Everything below that are estimated additional costs to help you out with financing for your program. On the right, on the other hand, for a partnership program, that includes tuition in the program fee. So you wouldn't be paying separate semester tuition. Your tuition would be included in that. And that program fee also includes other things like housing for the program as well. So you're paying more upfront, but you'll have less additional costs for the program. And then in terms of planning, for the programs that you're participating in, you'll want to make sure that you're going to be enrolled in enough credits to be considered full-time back at ASU, or that you're taking enough credits to be able to still be eligible for your financial aid if you're receiving any. And then, like I was kind of mentioning when I was just asked about the FAFSA, the way that the financial aid year works is it starts in fall, then goes spring, then goes summer. So if you have aid that kind of depends on how much you are using in previous terms, and say, for example, you are looking to participate in a global education program in the summer term, you'll want to make sure that you're saving some aid for that summer term. And then financial aid and scholarship services does reassess the cost of attendance when you are going to be attending one of these programs. Okay, any questions about that before we move on? I know it was a lot.
Yeah, I do have a question. If you go back to the last slide, that last bullet point, you said that financial aid, they reassess based off your cost of attendance when abroad. If you is that beyond just in how many credits you enroll, or is that because you're in a different country?
I believe it's based on a bit of both. Typically, you will be enrolled in this. You will need to be enrolled in the same number of credits
Right.
there than when here. So it's kind of like based on like more of like living in a different country. That's more something to check in with them about how they reassess it, though.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'm pretty sure you said it already. I just need to make sure. It is the billable subtotal that is split into, and then the other
Correct.
costs are just like estimated for you to like think about when you're there.
Correct. And you'll want to make sure that you're properly budgeting for the rest, but the amount that will be charged directly to your ASU account is just going to be that billable subtotal.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. I'm going to go ahead and move on. If there's any questions, I'll make sure to, if we have time at the end, I'll make sure to stay and answer. But moving on to scholarships, I'll be going over both scholarships that we offer directly through our office, as well as other ASU and departmental scholarships, and then other external scholarships. So starting with the ones offered through the Global Education Office, first up is the travel grant. For this, you will need to have demonstrated financial need, which is why submitting that FAFSA comes in handy. And you will need academic merit for this as well. If you submit by the priority deadline and are awarded it, you would receive $1,000. If you submit by the final deadline and get it, then it's $500. The deadlines for each of these scholarships that I'm going to be going over do have different priority and final deadlines. So when you're taking a look at these, make sure that you make note of the deadline for it, for the term that you are looking to apply to make sure that you're not falling behind on those. So you can see, for example, if you are looking to apply or are in the process of applying for a summer program, that priority deadline for the travel grant is going to be February 1st. So you might want to pick up the pace if you haven't submitted it yet. Next up is the GEO Diversity Scholarship. And this, there's many different criteria by which you could be considered diverse. So if you think you would fit into a diverse category, we definitely recommend applying for this. And it would be a $2,000 grant for the program that you're participating in. For both the travel grant and the diversity scholarship, you do need to have an application open for one of our programs in order to be eligible for it. Doesn't need to be submitted. However, if you are awarded the grant or scholarship and then decide that you won't be participating in a program, you would have to return the scholarship. Moving on, for our digital programs, we also offer the Global Online Learning Grant. And this is similar to the travel grant, except it's exclusively for our virtual programs. But for this, you would need to demonstrate financial need and academic merit, and it is an award of $500. For departmental scholarships, a lot of the different schools at ASU do offer scholarships specifically for studying abroad and study abroad programs. So definitely be sure to check in with your department, see if they offer anything specifically for that. And I'll also show you later how to use our scholarship search database to take a look at some of these. And just to briefly go over, the way that scholarships and grants apply to the different programs does differ. I think I was being asked this a little bit earlier, but we have this chart and it's also available on our website as well, which goes over the different types of programs that we offer and how some of the more common federal aid would apply to these programs. So for example, if we're taking a look at the faculty directed programs there in the middle, these are, again, typically summer programs. So for these, you would be able to use the Pell Grant and federal loans for the cost of the program. Okay. Next, to move on to some other external scholarships, We have the Benjamin A. Gilman Scholarship, which is one of the more common ones. There are many different requirements for this program. It's not offered directly through our office, but you could get an award of up to $5,000. For more information about this scholarship, we recommend reaching out to Amy Sever at the Office of National Scholarship Advisement, or ONSA, which is located in Barrett, but it's not limited to just Barrett students. That's just where their office is located. There's other national scholarships as well, such as the Killam Scholarship and Boren Scholarship, which are available for different locations that you would be studying in. So for either of these, we recommend contacting Dr. Kyle Mox, who is also at the Office of National Scholarship Advisement. And then here is that search tool that I was talking about before. We offer a scholarship search database on our website, which I will show during the website tour, which goes, you can search by various different criteria to look for scholarships you might be eligible for. And then it has links to those websites and how to apply on there as well. Some advice that we have for looking for and applying for scholarships is to definitely search for those scholarships early, because the deadlines could definitely differ from the deadlines for applications for the program that you're applying for. So a lot of those scholarships do have deadlines earlier than the actual programs themselves. So definitely be sure to get on those early. If the program has writing prompts or essays, be sure to answer the question that you're being asked and have other people help you and look them over. What we also recommend is consider scholarships that you're applying for to be a bonus. It's not a great idea to count on receiving a scholarship that you're applying for in order to be able to participate in a program, because typically you won't find out if you're awarded a scholarship until after you have to commit to participating in a program. So if, for example, you apply to a scholarship and commit to a program, but then you find out you aren't awarded the scholarship and now you can't afford it, you're kind of in a difficult situation of needing to cancel and withdraw and wind up having to pay some fees and not get to participate. So it's best to budget for being able to do it, even if you don't receive additional scholarships. Any questions quickly about scholarships before I move on?
I have a question.
Sure thing.
So could we also apply for like ASU scholarships that aren't specifically for study abroad, but let's say that help like with tuition and stuff? Could that then be applied depending if they allow it to the program fees?
Yeah, you would need to check in with them to make sure that it would be applicable for global education programs. You would be able to apply for it, but you just need to make sure that those scholarships can apply.
Okay.
And we don't have information about every single scholarship. The ones that we know would be able to apply are those ones that we had on that chart that I showed you. Yes, is it Yuritsa?
Yes. So I had a question. I have actually two questions.
Okay.
So one of them is, you were mentioning about like saving aid. So I was just wondering if, for example, I'm on the ATA scholarship. So the way that was explained to me was that your aid, whatever ASU deems that you would be getting from them, and then Pell Grants and stuff like that, that goes in or is applied to your tuition first, and then the ATA covers the rest. So my question is, how, if at all, would you be able to like save aid?
Typically, what that applies for the most would be like federal loans, because for those, I believe there's a limit that you're allowed to take out for the year. So that's mostly what it applies for, because if you take like say half of the loan in fall, half of the loan in spring, but you're applying for a summer program, then you don't have any loans to be able to take out then.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And then my other question was,
sorry, I accidentally muted you instead of myself. I'm so sorry. Could you repeat your question? I believe you're still muted. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Okay, so my other question was, you're talking about grants and about if we were to apply to any of the grants that you had mentioned and hopefully be able to receive them, would they go into our ASU account, or would they go into whatever like billing information we have on file? Like on our
It would be applied to your finances tab.
Okay.
On my ASU, yeah.
Okay, so that'd be like the ASU account thing?
Yes, it wouldn't, I don't believe it would show up like at the bottom with like your federal aid and such, but it would show up in like your awards and such, like in the financing area.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, I have a question in the chat. If we cover 100% of billable fees and have additional scholarship funds, can we keep those funds to put towards non-billable? Typically, yes. Like I mentioned before, if the amount of aid that you were receiving in scholarships and grants or loans is more than the amount that you're being charged, then you would receive that back as a you would receive that amount back as a refund, which would be typically, if you have like direct deposit set up, it would be deposited to your account. Then you could put that with whatever you would like. Does that answer your question? And independence, when do billable charges need to be paid? The charges do differ depending on the program. Each program and term has like a different time that those are charged. So, but I did mention earlier in the presentation that it's split up into 2 charges 1 month apart. So you would need to pay half 1 month and half the next month. I'm going to go ahead and move on to make sure that I can finish. So moving on to community-based funding, kind of some advice that we have is to have your elevator speech ready of what your goals are, to offer something in return for the people who would be supporting you, even something as small as thank you notes, but even gifts or a service like maybe sending them videos would be helpful. And then to use social media to spread your campaign. So some tips that we have for crowdsource funding are to interact with the audience through video, through blog, make it personal, tell your story, and to kind of like be inspirational about it, kind of. And to create like some incentives, like why should people support you? And kind of one of the more important things is to be strategic with your asks, which I believe to go a bit more into that is to be clear about what it is that you need and what it is that you're asking for. So it's better to give like more tangible, smaller things that you're raising money for. Like for example, that you need $1,000 for a plane ticket, for example, as opposed to I need $10,000 for my trip. Okay, what are you using the money for? But like to be clear, it is like what you need the money for, what you're going to be using the money for, so that people can see like, okay, I know what my money is going towards. I know how I'm helping this person. And kind of like what I mentioned with the scholarships, you want to kind of consider this money to be kind of a bonus as well, and consider saving it or using it when you need, as opposed to like 100% relying on it, because it can be a little difficult to raise up a lot of money to be able to afford everything. So consider crowdfunding money to be a bonus or to help you achieve like smaller goals. And we do have a community-based funding guide on our website as well for some more tips and ideas about this. Okay. some comments in the chat. That's funny. Okay, any questions about crowdsource funding? I probably can't give much more information about that, but I'd be happy to try. Yuritsa, did you still have a question or?
No, does it show that my hand is still raised? No.
Yes, it does.
Sorry. No, I don't have a hand.
I actually have a question. So
Sure
I know that you've said a lot about like how not to depend on scholarships because we're not going to know until the end. So is there like an actual time frame that we'll kind of know the amount of money that we're receiving? You may have already answered it, but I'm not sure. Is there like a specific time that, okay, like by August before my study abroad program in the fall, I should know like how much money that I'm going to be able to get from then?
Yeah, so you'll know before the program starts how much money you'll be getting, just not before you have to like commit to the program, if that makes sense. But your financial aid, like that you normally receive for the terms, it typically doesn't change too much. So you can expect that to stay around the same unless you're receiving like additional things, then you'll need to check in about those specific things. But like, for example, if you're receiving the Obama Scholarship or New American University Scholarship, those will typically still apply. So you'd know you'd still be getting those depending on the program. For the additional stuff, you'll probably find out still like just a month or so after the deadline of the scholarship, but it will just be after you need to commit to participating in the program, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Check the time. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move on. I'll give time at the end still to ask questions, but just moving forward, you've attended this session. Kind of some of the next steps from here is first choosing your program. So what we recommend doing as early on as possible is to meet with your academic advisor. They won't be able to tell you like specifically, yes, you should do this specific program. And they wouldn't be able to tell you like what courses exactly you can take on a program. What they would more be able to do with you, and the reason we recommend doing it so early, is to kind of help you rearrange your plan going forward in terms of courses to make it easier for you to participate in one of these programs. Because there might be some courses that aren't available on global education programs, or there might be some courses that they only let you get credit for at ASU. So if you're able to rearrange your courses going forward, then you could take more of those courses here to kind of free you up for maybe some more general electives or other courses that just interest you during the term of your program. We also recommend, if you haven't already, to attend a Study Abroad 101 workshop. Those are general information sessions which go over more information about applying, searching, and looking for programs, whereas this one was more about financing. And those are offered every Tuesday and Friday at 3 p.m. So feel free to attend those if you're available. And once you've kind of like narrowed down to a few programs, we recommend meeting with an international coordinator. Those are the staff at our office who work more directly with the specific programs. So they would be able to go more in depth about those. And then what you'll want to do, of course, is determine the cost of the program. Take a look at those program cost sheets. Keep in mind whether the program fee includes your tuition or if that's separate, and then take a look at what is the non-billables or the estimated additional costs. And of course, remember that some of the those special fees or college fees that you're normally charged by ASU and your school will still be charged to you for that term. You'll want to meet with a financial aid counselor to see how the federal aid and financial aid you normally receive may be affected. And from there, you're ready to apply. Make sure that you are exhausting your resources, taking a look at the scholarships and grants that are available, financial aid, and community-based funding if you so choose. And once you've done all of this, all that's left is to participate in your program. And then you're abroad. Or virtual if you're participating in a virtual program as well. I'm just going to quickly show off some of the key places that I mentioned throughout the presentation on our website. And then after that, I'll give time for questions. Give me 1 second, the Zoom toolbar is in my way. Okay. So this is our homepage, which is goglobal.asu.edu. You've probably been here before if you signed up for this session. But when you are looking to apply, you'll go to this search and apply for a program button right here. Or if you want to view recommended programs for your major, head over to Study Abroad by Major. If you want to schedule an appointment with the international coordinator, you could do that and contact us or make an appointment. For the scholarship search that I've been talking about, if you just scroll down a bit, we have this search and apply for scholarships here. You just click on this red button and it'll take you to the scholarship search. It'll have a ton of different criteria you can put in. You don't need to put in everything. You don't need to put in everything. If you want, you could just scroll and look through everything, but kind of something we recommend is at least putting in probably either the country or the length of the program that you're participating in to narrow out some ones that are more specific. And if you click on any of these, it will give you the link to their specific website. Sometimes the information on here, like you could see here, is not fully updated. So we recommend taking a look at the specific website to see what they have available. Excuse me. So that's for the scholarship search. Then for the other kind of key page that I want to show off, from anywhere on our website, if you hover over ASU students, I recommend going ahead and clicking Explore Funding. And then my favorite page is the scholarships and grants page here. This has that chart that I was showing off earlier in the presentation, which goes over the different program types and how some of the more common federal aid can apply to those. So if you have a question about some scholarships or grants that you receive and you wonder how you can apply it to your program, take a look at this chart to see if it's on here. For a lot of these, we still do recommend reaching out to Financial Aid and Scholarship Services, excuse me, to see like how your scholarships might change. You can also get to that scholarship search that I just showed off from this page as well. And then we also do have the scholarships and grants available through our office, and those are listed right here. You could click on any of these. And if it decides to load, it will show you the information and the requirements for these applications. And then all you do is click Apply Now and do what it tells you from there. We have simplified a lot of these, the grant and scholarship applications, so it should be a lot easier and quick for you to complete these. That's about everything that I have for the presentation. And we still do have some time for questions. So does anyone have any questions now at the end?
So I have a question.
Sure
I
thing.
am in EPICS and hoping to participate in the Vietnam trip, but it's still not certain with like, I'm not quite sure why, but I think it's because of COVID. So I was wondering how that would affect my application since my trip is, you know, very iffy, I guess.
Right. I'd recommend reaching out to the international coordinator for the program because they would like have some more information about like that specific situation.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sorry, I can't answer that.
Oh, you're good.
And I see that Elizabeth, one of our recruiters, already answered it, but someone was asking in the chat if you can fly out from anywhere, or do you have to be in Arizona before you fly out? In most cases, you are responsible for your own flights. So as long as you're making it to the destination in time for the program, you should be fine to fly out from wherever. if that's not the case, you'll receive information about that when you are confirmed to participate in a program.
Is it possible to get flights funded, since I know the EPICS program like has funding figured out, I believe, for our stay there. And my team was just talking about applying for grants to finance the plane over.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not super familiar with the EPICS program, was it?
Yeah, it's just it's like a class, and it focuses on global issues. And since we are doing shrimp farming in Vietnam in August, we're doing a Vietnam trip. And the thing is, I think I forgot what the main scholarship is, but they got the actual trip funded except for the planes. And I was wondering if it's possible for me to individually apply to like scholarships and grants just to finance the plane ride. Or did you mean, when you said that, did you mean planes are never financed?
So, I mean, if you are like awarded additional scholarships and you don't have any charges for you to apply those to, then you could use the money to fund whatever additional costs you would have.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
I actually have a question, just
Sure
really
thing.
quick. So does our like ASU account or our financial standing with ASU have to be like that we don't owe ASU, or to be able to be awarded the grants, like would they go into whatever we owe first, if that makes sense?
I'm not sure how that works because I don't deal with like the ASU financing part of it. I think when you're paying things, it goes into kind of like a pool, pretty much. Like the charges that you have in my ASU kind of like are a pool. And I think it does like the earliest ones first when you're paying it off, if that makes sense.
Okay, but like to apply for any of the grants that are specifically for a global education opportunity, because I know you said that for some of them we have to have an application to the actual program open. Correct. Not necessarily submitted, but open, right, to even be considered for the global education grants. So would we need to be like, would our financial standing with ASU need to be not zero, but, you know, for us to not really owe any, I don't know if this makes sense, but for us to even owe anything.
It makes sense. I don't think that has any impact on the whether you're awarded the scholarship or not. Okay. But if there's still money outstanding after you're awarded the scholarship, then there's still going to be money outstanding pretty much.
Right. Okay. Just making sure that that didn't, like, one didn't affect the other.
Right. I don't think that there's a correlation.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else? Feel free to raise your hand if you have a question, even if you're typing it in chat, just so that I know you're typing. Doesn't seem like anyone else has any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and end the session for today. Thank you all for attending. I hope it was helpful in kind of showing you all what opportunities you have for financing your program. Sorry, I did get a message just now. In a global intensive experience program, tuition is not part of the program fees, correct? Yes, that is correct. Your tuition is going to be a part of the full semester. So for example, if it's a post-spring program, your tuition is going to be a part of the spring tuition. So does that mean that we're also going to pay the ASU tuition aside from additional fees? That is correct, yes. But if you're already enrolled full-time for the spring semester in the example I just gave, it's not going to be additional tuition because I believe full-time caps at 9 credits. So if you're already taking 9 credits, then your tuition won't go up. Okay. Anyone else? Any last minute? Again, just raise your hand if you have a question so I don't start ending again. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up now. Thank you again for attending the session. If you haven't already, like I mentioned earlier, we definitely recommend to attend a Study Abroad 101 session. The next one will be tomorrow at 3 p.m. Arizona time. And that's available either on Zoom or in person at our office, whichever you'd prefer. So please feel free to attend. They're great, informative sessions. But yeah, good luck in applying for financial aid for your global education programs, and we hope to see you on one of our programs. Have a good one.